Hello everyone. Before I start, I want to say thanks to TEDx team for giving me this opportunity, and then I want to say thanks to all of you for being my audience today. Friends, have you ever considered the impact of communities we join and people we meet there on our careers? Have you ever considered what impact these communities and people have on us? Let me explain this point by sharing my own story. I was born in a lower middle class family, grew up in very small towns in Madhya Pradesh, and during my childhood, I was not good in anything that every parents accept that their kids should be good at. I was not good in studies, I was not good in sports. My favorite hobby was sketching cartoons and reading comics when my teachers were explaining concepts in the classes. I was a shy kid, so I didn't have many friends also. Naturally, everybody around me, including my parents, teachers, relatives, neighbors, were concerned about my career. But I was not. I always felt the way Aladdin found a magic lamp, I will also find something to change my life. Well, I couldn't find a magic lamp, but I scored 55% marks in 12th class. Now you can imagine what would have been my career choices with such a low score in such a competitive and crowded country. But God had planned something for me. In the same year, one of my cousins scored top 20 rank in engineering entrance exam. And he took me along with him in his engineering admission counseling. There, I found myself surrounded by a community of top 50 rankers. I listened to their conversations around hard work that they did to get those top ranks. I listened to their conversations around the dreams that they were envisioning for their future. By the end of the day, I was very much inspired, and the dream of pursuing engineering from a top institute had taken birth. But because of my poor academic background, I was not sure how I would achieve this dream. Fortunately, my cousin motivated me. He became my guiding light. He shared numerous stories of students who were not good in studies, but later worked hard and got into their dream engineering colleges. He suggested me to take 1-year drop, work hard, and he also introduced me to the teachers who taught him. I followed his advice, took admission to the coaching class he suggested, and there I found a circle of wonderful friends, a community of wonderful friends who were not only intelligent, but also kind-hearted to guide me on every basic concept that I didn't study during school time. They motivated me to study for 15-16 hours a day, and by God's grace, I got decent enough rank to get computer engineering at IIT DAVV, which is one of the top engineering colleges in Madhya Pradesh. When I entered the engineering college, I became part of a new community, a circle of students within the college, the circle of students within the class. Because I came from a small town, I found almost everybody better than me in public speaking, computer programming, and English speaking. Unfortunately, the circle of friends I created during the first year of engineering made fun of me for multiple things. Because of my speaking style, the way I dressed, the way I spoke, and many other things. One thing led to another. I got filled with self-doubt. My academic performance started degrading. Few other unfortunate circumstances came in life, and I lost my one semester. I felt like a loser. I had failed on multiple fronts, be it getting respect from my friends or be getting good academics. I was also not able to get good academic scores. I was thinking to leave engineering in middle, but God had planned something for me. My paths crossed with the director of our institute at that time, late Dr. Manohar Chandwani. His encouragement gave new energy to my aspirations. His guidance helped me to create new circle of friends who motivated me to come back. And during that bounce back journey, I presented research papers at national conferences at NITs and IITs. I also scored 80% marks in the final year of engineering, and my final year project was awarded by Computer Society of India. I passed out from the college with a job with one of the top MNCs that came for the placements, and then my professional career started. I became part of the companies like HSBC and Deloitte and worked both in India and the US. These organizations acted like communities where I found mentors in form of great colleagues and managers who groomed me for the professional world. During this phase, I also joined communities like Toastmasters that helped me in improving my public speaking skills, and joined communities like TIE, the Indus Entrepreneurs, that enhanced my interest towards entrepreneurs' story, the stories of entrepreneurship. After office hours and over the weekends, I started attending sessions at TIE, meeting entrepreneurs, listening about their hardships, turnaround situations and all. Somewhere TIE team liked my passion, and they offered me a 2-year fellowship to make an impact in entrepreneurial ecosystem of India. I felt I will learn new set of skills, we would be able to make some impact, and we'll get to know about the life of entrepreneurs that is not usually covered in media. Against the wishes of my parents, I left my well-paying job at Deloitte and took up this opportunity at a non-profit TIE. Those 2 years were wonderful. I met many entrepreneurs, got to see their life closely, got to know about many business models, marketing strategies. But by the time my fellowship was ending, I realized that I'm not ready to become an entrepreneur. I was also not sure that this unique experience that I had gained in those 2 years, how it would be accepted in the corporate world. I shared my dilemma with one of my mentors at TIE, and he gave me a sage advice. He said, there are 2 famous personalities in the world of cricket. One is Sachin Tendulkar, who goes and plays in the field, and second one is Harsha Bhogle, who doesn't play, but he understands the game so well that he is able to talk about it and write about it. He said, you may not be interested in becoming an entrepreneur who goes and plays in the business field like Sachin, but you have curiosity and storytelling abilities to become someone like Harsha in the field of business. That one advice gave me a role model, source of inspiration and vision. I researched about Harsha Bhogle and found that he had done MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. So I also felt I should do MBA from one of the top business schools in the country. But it was not an easy choice to make. Why? Because in my previous 4 attempts, I had scored very poor marks in almost all the exams, ZAD, CAT, GMAT. But this time, luck was on my side. I was more determined, worked harder, and fortunately, I got interview call from XLRI. Thanks to the community at TIE, many business leaders took out time from their busy schedule to take my mock interviews and prepared me for the final interview. Eventually, I cracked my interview at XLRI and became part of another community, a community of bright minds who had come from various professional backgrounds from different parts of the country and who were my colleagues, my classmates at XLRI. I felt now I'm at a top business school, life is set. After XLRI, I will get a good job and everything is set for career. But the reality check happened when the first exams result came. I got multiple C grades. And that was the time I realized that I'm not surrounded by normal students. I'm surrounded by many bright minds who, if perform better than me, it is natural for me to get C grades. And if I get too many C grades continuously, I would not be able to get degree from the college. So I was really afraid. I reached out to one of my professors and asked him what I should do in this kind of situation. And he gave me a precious advice. He said, you are not good in many subjects. So figure out the students who are good in those subjects and become friends with them. And study with them. Learn the concepts that you don't know from them. And your better version will emerge. I followed that advice and soon my grades started improving. Then the same professor gave me another valuable advice. Knowing my past, he said, you reached till here by making Harsha Bhogle as a role model. Why should not you do something more by following him to create other milestones for your journey? He said, Harsha Bhogle writes for business publications. Why don't you think about writing on your area of interest, which is marketing and branding, in business publications? It took me 1 year to get my first article published, but I am glad to share with you that I have crossed the century. Today, more than 100 articles are published in almost all the top business publications in the country, including Forbes, The Economic Times, Financial Express, and many others. After completing my MBA from XLRI with good grades, I joined one of the leading startups in the country as a marketer. Post that, I worked with one of the Fortune 500 companies as a marketer. Life was going good. I was working on interesting marketing campaigns, getting good salary. But somewhere I was getting dissatisfied. I began feeling that there are many students getting passed out of top business schools every year. Many of them are becoming marketers with hot startups and Fortune 500 companies. And like me, they all are also working on interesting marketing campaigns. So in a way, I am becoming a commodity. Where is the differentiation? I wanted to do something different to stand out in the crowded world of marketers. So I called up my professor at XLRI and asked him, what should I do now? And he gave me another valuable advice. He said, America and India are two very different markets. America is a developed world. India is a developing country with so much diversity. We have so many languages, so many cultures. But in the business schools, we still study the case studies of American brands. The problem is that the way the brands were created in America cannot be created in India because of the very different nature of the country and the consumers. He said, besides Tata's, it is very hard to find literature on Indian brands, especially the new age ones, which are getting created in today's digital world. Why don't you take a mission and begin writing about the stories of new age Indian brands so that professors like me can teach students how brands are created in the new age world, new age India. I felt it's a good advice. I started reaching out to the founders of new age Indian brands. Initially, I got many no's, but later persistence paid off. Fortunately, founders of brands like Book My Show, Shadi.com, Paperboards, Zomato, FirstCry, and many others agreed to give me their valuable time. And I wrote a book on the journeys of new age Indian brands, which received testimonials from leaders like Mr. Harsh Mariwala, chairman of Marico, Mr. Ronnie Screwvala, founder of UTV and Upgrad, Professor David Bell from Wharton, G.V. Ravishankar from Sequoia Capital, and many other leaders. The book was released at XLRI, my alma mater, by Professor Sharad Saneem, who is one of the senior most marketing professors in the country, along with the dean and other senior professors at XLRI. Then, Mr. Amitabh Kant, former CEO of Niti Aayog, Government of India, And Mr. Prakash Javadekar, then Union HRD Minister, appreciated me for my contribution to the literature on Indian brands. And then came one of the happiest moments of my life when my role model Harsha Bhogle appreciated me for my journey. The success of the first book boosted my self-confidence, and I decided to write another book on new age Indian brands. This time, I wrote about brands like Big Basket, Zoomcar, Epigamia, ShareChat, Policy Bazaar, and many others. The book received testimonials from leaders like Mr. Suresh Nayan, Chairman and MD of Nestle India, Professor Rishikesh Keshlan, Director of IIM Bangalore, Mr. Sunil Kant Munjal, Chairman of Hero Enterprises, and few more. While writing these books, I had met many marketers, many founders, and many thought leaders in the world of marketing and branding. And they shared with me that the marketing budgets are shifting from old channels like TV and newspapers to new age channels like social media. YouTube and Instagram are becoming prominent channels for brands to reach to their audience. They also shared with me the way film stars and cricketers endorse brands. Now social media influencers are becoming powerful enough to endorse brands. This shared with me that India's creator economy is booming, but there is no literature available on India's creator economy and the rise of social media influencers and how brands' budget are shifting from traditional channels to the new age channels. So I decided to write perhaps India's first book on creator economy, in which I covered journeys of India's topmost social media influencers like Bhuvan Bam, Ranveer Alabadia, Mostly Singh, Prajakta Kohli, Kavita Singh, and many others. The book received testimonials from leaders like Anand Kumar, founder of Super 30 and marketing professor at Wharton, Professor Karthik Hosnagar. The book was also recognized by IIM Ahmedabad. Friends, when I look back at my journey from a below average student to becoming an engineer, to becoming a marketer, and then becoming a business storyteller, I realized that the communities I became part of, the mentors I found there, played a very important role in shaping my career path. When I was feeling that I have become a commodity in the world of marketers, and advice came, I followed a journey and created a unique career path where I also developed a skill set of business storytelling, which is very important for brands to establish emotional connection with their audience. I'm sure you all are also part of many communities and would be getting very valuable lessons from there. But to set the perspective, I would like to share with you a very important statement that was given by Steve Jobs: connect the dots. We all have to connect the dots in the life. But before connecting the dots, we have to collect the dots. Let's assume all these dots are like pieces of advice that we get from people whom we meet when we are part of different communities. We can collect these pieces of advice, these dots from the various founds, from the various mentors we find in various communities, and then connect them to create our career path in various forms and shapes. And I'm sure something unique will come up. Thank you very much.